So us modern metal guys who are producing music from our home studios have been kind of plagued with a bit of a curse. And I call it a curse, but I guess it could also be considered a huge blessing on one hand. And that is the fact that there are seemingly hundreds and hundreds of modern metal amp sims that are targeted directly at us metal guys because we just love ourselves some high gain tones. But with that being said, I do own my fair share of amp sims. Granted, some of them are a bit older, like TSEX50. I made a video specifically on that amp sim a couple of weeks ago, and I'll throw that in one of the corners for you to check out. So some of them are a bit older like that. Some of them are still really mainstream. I have some neural DSP stuff. And in today's video, I want to take a look at 6 different amp sims that I own, ranging really in price from completely free all the way up to 150 bucks. We're going to take a look at those in the context of a modern metal mix. And I think it should also be noted that in the world of home studio production today, there are a ton of completely free impulse responses that all sound absolutely incredible. And every amp sim in today's video is going to be going through the same impulse response that I got from Keanu Schmid's channel. I'll put a link to Keanu's video in the description below just to give him some credit for that. So first, I want to take a look at each amp sim's own individual project and logic, and then later in the video we will do a side-by-side comparison slash playthrough of the demo track I wrote for this video. So let's go ahead and take a look at our first amp sim that is completely free. The first amp sim we're going to look at today is ML Sound Lab's Roots. This is Ryan Fluff Bruce's amp sim with ML Sound Lab. Also a quick note in regard to all these guitar tones, I think with all of them except for one, maybe two, I just loaded up like the default high gain preset. With respect to some of them, I did use like the tube screamer or the drive pedal, whatever that was included in the plugin. None of the mixing is really happening with the amp sim part of the plugin. Everything is done with SSL channel and with FabFilter Pro Q3. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and we'll hop into Logic and we'll take a look at the amp sims and the project and just a few things that I'm doing. Okay, so this is the Logic project for any amp sim will work, Roots. I'll mute my rhythm guitar and my lead guitar and we'll take a listen at pretty much just the drums, bass, anything else going on. The drums we are using today are ML drums. I actually went and bought the full version of this plugin because I enjoyed the free version so much. Here's what the drums sound like by themselves. Yeah. The bass, we have a high and a low track with bass like normal. The high is, I just got all the lows sucked out. I'm running it through a BOD plugin, which is just a Sans amp from TSE. And then I'm actually doing, on top of that, I'm doing this grit pedal from Logic. It actually sounds super mean on bass. Throwing that through the same impulse response that I'm using for all the guitars kind of just helps the high and blend together a little better in my opinion. And then the EQ at the end, we're sucking out some of the highs again that came from that. Here's what the bass sounds like. I should also know that this is MIDI bass. I did not play this. This is a jazz bass that I have a MIDI instrument for. Let's take a listen at this first riff in context of the full mix with ML Roots. The effects chain for all of the guitar tones throughout the entire thing. The only thing that's going to change is the amp sim. What remains the same is I'm using THU's pitch and we're pitching down an entire octave and we're mixing that in at about 45%. And then you have the amp sim. Like I said, this is completely neutral. Everything is right up the middle. I just have the cabs disabled. And then we have the Keanu Schmid impulse response right there. All the processing is happening on the bus, and that is just an SSL channel and Pro Q3 to take out some mud and some whistle sounds and a little bit of super high end. I'm going to disable the SSL channel and the Pro Q3 and we will solo the guitars and see what they sound like without those two effects, and I will bring them in. Majority of the heavy lifting that's being done to this tone is definitely here on the SSL channel. So it looks like we're rolling off about 180 all the way up to 180 hertz, which is way higher than I normally would. But whenever I was doing it in the context of the mix, this 180 hertz kind of was the sweet spot. And then we're doing a low pass at about 8,000 hertz. A lot of the brightness we're getting from our guitars, we're doing a shelf at 8K almost, and we're doing about 3 decibels of boost on that. And then we're doing a wide boost at right about 1.3K, just a decibel of that. And then we did this, we had a little bit of mud building up around 260, and then 2,000, 2,500 hertz and 3,400 hertz had some whistles that I didn't like. So that's how amped roots seem to fit into the mix. Let's go ahead and open up the next plugin and we will take a look at how the same chain with just a different amp sim really fits into the mix just as well. So this next plugin is from a company called ToneLib. I'm assuming that stands for Tone Library. They have a new plugin out called ToneLib Metal, and it is actually a pretty cool guitar suite specifically for high gain tones. And this plugin at the moment only costs about $25, so that makes it our next tier. Have a ton of different effects pedals and compressors, tube screamers. They have a lot of stuff from the Fortin suites. Lots of cool amp heads. There's a clean amp, PV. Let's go ahead and let's see what this sounds like in the context of the mix. So same thing as before, we were just using the SSL channel, and it looks like we only cut out to 115 hertz on this, and then we got down to 8,000 again. Looks like we brought the shelf down some to about 6,000 hertz, and we're doing all the way upwards, almost 6 decibels there. Looks like I did another little boost right around 1,000 hertz. Let's go ahead and take a look at our next amp sim, and this one cost about... What's up? Justin from the future here, doing some editing. Got my editing hat on. Listen, I'm realizing how potentially boring it could be to watch me just process a guitar tone with SSL channel 4 more times. So let me go ahead and tell you the other amp sims. We'll get into the playthrough and then we'll talk about some processing quickly at the end of the video. We're about to do TSEX50, and then after that we'll do Mercurial Ampbox Euphoria, and then we will do Neural DSP Fortin Cali, and then we will do STL Tones Will Putney Suite. All of those ranging from prices of $50 to $150. They all fit really well into the mix, just with some post-processing on the bus. Let's go ahead and hop into the playthrough and then we'll take a look at that. Well, if you made it this far into the video, thank you for sticking around, and maybe consider hitting that subscribe button. I was looking earlier and something like 95% of the people who watch my videos aren't subscribed, so if you're still here and you're enjoying the content, please do hit that subscribe button. Okay, let's do a quick recap of where we are so far in the video. I've picked 6 different amp sims, and I've processed all 6 of them in the context of a mix using only the SSL channel and the Pro Q3, so just doing some EQ moves. And really the point of this exercise was to show that no matter what amp sim you're using, each amp is going to have its own problem areas to fix, but the way that you go about fixing those areas is still pretty similar throughout most of the amp sims. You can find the nasty boxy frequencies or muddy frequencies and cut those out a little bit. If it's sounding a little dark, you can boost the highs if you want to. And I think this was an important video to make because once we realized that we can do a ton of the heavy lifting on the post-processing, then we kind of realized that the amp sim itself is not really that important. Now, granted, I do recommend that you dial in your guitar tone as close to mix ready as possible, but when it comes down to it, you're really going to have to listen to the guitar tone in the context of the mix and then make some slight EQ adjustments so that it fits around the rest of the instruments in the mix just right. Thanks for watching today's video. Like I said earlier, please do hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and I will see you guys in the next video.